Hey everyone, how's it going? Just like every day, we're back again with another exciting story for you. And yes, if you don't want to miss out on our upcoming thrilling stories, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. It was late October in Maine, the kind of fall where the air smelled like dead leaves and damp earth, where the sun dipped early and shadows stretched far longer than they should. The townsfolk of Gray Hollow never lingered after dusk, especially near Blackwater Road. But that was exactly where I was headed this evening, drawn by both my profession and a shameful curiosity I could never quite smother. I am a journalist by trade, a freelance writer who has always been attracted to pieces that straddle fact and folklore. If there's a town with a haunt, a road with a reputation, a family whispering secrets of something unnatural, I am the fool who'd lean closer instead of looking away. And for the last 20 years in Gray Hollow, people have sworn that an old house, half rotted and sinking into the soil at the edge of Blackwater Road, is alive. Not metaphorically, not in the literary sense. Alive like something with a pulse, something that breathes. I had heard plenty of ghost stories, of course. Some claimed that no matter how many times the county tried demolishing the place, the house rebuilt itself overnight. Others swore they'd heard screams seeping out of the windows long after midnight, or laughter echoing through the chimney when smoke still rose from no logs, no fire. The locals offered warnings in whispers: don't go near Blackwater after dark, don't stop if you hear someone calling your name, don't knock on that house. Warnings only sharpened my interest. That night, I ignored every one of them. The road itself was narrow and crooked, hemmed in by maples whose bare branches scraped overhead like skeletal fingers. Though the town wasn't far behind me, silence swallowed everything. No crickets, no owls. Even the wind held its breath. By the time my headlights swung across the infamous house, I understood why travelers sped up when they reached this stretch of road. It sat there, squatting on its crooked foundation, 3 stories high, though it was warped low to the ground. Its roof sagged like broken wings. The shutters, though nailed, slapped faintly as if restless. And the windows, dozens of them pointed blindly into the world, held a strange quality, like murky eyes filmed over with cataracts. I killed the engine but left the keys in, just in case. Pulling out my notebook and recorder, I stepped out into wet leaves and faced the husk of wood and rot. That's when the night changed. All at once, the air grew heavier, thicker, as though I'd opened a door to a room that hadn't been aired in centuries. The odor hit next: must and copper, old wood, blood. My throat burned as though dust had rushed in, but when I coughed, the silence pressed tighter against me. And then, I swore I heard it. Not voices. Breathing. Slow, dragging, too deep for human lungs, rising and falling with the warped walls of the house itself. The front door had no knob, just a gaping crack where one had once been, as though ripped out violently. I pressed my recorder on. October 28th, 9:24 p.m. Location: Blackwater House on the rural outskirts of Gray Hollow, Maine. Entering property despite town warnings. I pushed the door. It didn't creak. It sighed. Hinges exhaled like an exhausted animal. My flashlight beam cut through dust as I crossed into darkness thick as oil. Inside, the floor was warped and soft. Wallpaper peeled like dead skin. The stench was worse, rawer, as though something had grown and died within these walls countless times. But beyond the decay, I felt it. Awareness. The unmistakable sense of standing in the presence of something that did not want me here. My chest tightened. I forced myself to narrate, as much for my sanity as for the record. Interior resembles 19th century construction. Parlor to the right, stairwell ahead. Though interior rotted, atmosphere feels hostile. And that's when the first sound came. Not the house settling. Not rodents in the walls. Footsteps. Above me, steady, heel to toe, slow. But the house had no safe second floor. I should have run then, but I didn't. Curiosity is stronger than rational fear. I climbed the staircase, each step groaning beneath me like bones bending. The handrail was slick with moisture. Sweat? I wiped my palm against my jeans, breath rattling in my chest as the footsteps climbed higher just ahead of me, always one step out of sight. At the landing, my light fell upon a hallway stretched longer than the exterior of the house allowed. 12 doors lined it, 6 per side, though from outside I had seen only 4 windows upstairs. My mouth dried. The first door, chipped white paint and a rusted brass knob, stood slightly ajar. I pushed it open with 2 fingers. Inside lay a child's bedroom, frozen in an era long past. A rocking horse poised in the corner, its head cracked open. A small dresser sagged, drawers open, each stuffed with discolored cloth that might have once been clothes. On the bed rested a single porcelain doll, one eye missing, one eye staring too vividly into mine. My recorder crackled, though I hadn't touched it. A voice, faint but sharp as a knife's edge, whispered through. "Who are you?" I dropped it. My flashlight jerked. The doll was no longer on the bed. I staggered back into the hallway, lungs dragging in short, sharp gasps. The corridor seemed narrower now, walls edging closer, as though the house shrank around me. My beam darted across flaking picture frames, family portraits blackened by mold. Faces had smeared somehow, twisted in grotesque grins I knew hadn't been painted that way. Door after door, each worse than the last. One room contained only splintered cribs, carved with scratches that looked like fingernails. Another was lined with mirrors, floor to ceiling, but the reflections showed not me but someone taller, thinner, hunched with a wide, grotesque smile. They moved even when I did not. My breath came louder, too loud. I pressed a hand over my mouth, terrified of what might hear me, terrified it already had. And then the footsteps returned. Faster, closer. I ran. Not back toward the staircase, though I should have. My legs carried me deeper to the end of the warped hall, where a final door loomed. This one was different. Reinforced with heavy planks, no knob, just a narrow, hand-worn groove in the wood as though countless palms had tried to claw it open. My body moved against my will. My hands reached. And with a heavy shudder of the house itself, the planks cracked free. The door didn't swing. It collapsed inward into darkness below. The basement. The air that rose up was foul, thick with rot and wet earth. Shapes moved in the shadows that weren't quite human, their limbs too long, their faces gouged of features save strange, hollow smiles. And at the center something vast. A pulse. A wet throb like the beating of a heart, shaking walls, floor, even my ribs as though my body belonged to the rhythm of this place. And with each beat, it whispered, "Stay, stay, stay." I can't fully recount what followed. I remember my flashlight flickering, shadows spilling like liquid from the walls. Hands, not flesh, but wood, reaching from the beams, gripping my arms, my throat. A chorus of voices crawling through my recorder, though it had fallen somewhere in the dark. Somehow I broke free. I don't recall the climb or the run through the parlor or flinging myself out the door and into the open air. I woke lying in the wet leaves beside my car sometime near dawn, lungs burning, skin mottled with bruises in the shape of fingers. The house sat as still as it had the night before. Silent. Watching. Waiting. Back in town, the people of Gray Hollow didn't ask where I had gone. They didn't need to. They saw it in my eyes, they saw it in the marks. When I pressed one old woman for truth, she only shook her head. "That house don't haunt," she whispered. "It feeds. Always has. Always will. And once it's touched you, boy, it don't let go." She was right. Nights since my visit, I hear it. In my apartment hundreds of miles away, lying sleepless in my own bed, I hear it. Breathing, slow and wet, rising and falling with the walls around me. Sometimes I wake to find my doorknob turning. Sometimes I wake to faint footsteps climbing my stairs. And sometimes, God help me, I wake to the sound of something vast and hungry whispering from my walls. "Stay.